Hola mi gente, welcome back to the channel. My name is Sean and this is We Are Investing. If you're new to this channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button, ringing that bell, and smashing that like button so you do not miss another video regarding the stock market. We do all kinds of videos, but right now I'm making a ton of videos on how to use Thinkorswim. So if you enjoy that, definitely smash that like button. But without further ado, on today's video, I'm going to show you my setup in Thinkorswim. I'm going to show you how to set up the charts, and I'm also going to show you how to set up a workspace, pop multiple charts on a screen, how to work in Thinkorswim efficiently for your needs. Now, I'm more of a swing trader and an investor, so my needs reflect that, so my charts and my setups reflect investing and swing trading. But with that being said, let's get into it. Let's do it. Now, if you have any questions, you can comment down below and I will try to respond in this video. Otherwise, you can join the private Discord, which I will always be there. I make a lot of videos, so it's hard to keep up with all of the comments. If you join the Patreon, you will get access to that private Discord, but you will also get access to share links of all of these studies and all of these workspaces so that you can just click a button and save it to your Thinkorswim platform. If that interests you, a link is provided down below. The Patreon is $5 a month and it includes many other things, so I think it provides great value. So to get started, we're looking at a Thinkorswim chart, a very basic one with no studies included. I just removed that sidebar. Now, to get started, I'm going to show you the lower studies that I personally use for swing trading and investing. Now, two of these three lower studies are normal lower studies. They're included in Thinkorswim. The third one is a special one. I call it IV rank. It helps with trading options. It's not originally included in Thinkorswim. It's a special script, special coding added to the program that allows me to see the IV percentile and the IV rank to determine if a stock is a good stock for options trading. At least the kind of options trading that I use, which is selling options, collecting premiums up front. But to add a lower study, it's real simple. All you do is hit studies up here. You're going to add a study. And the two lower studies that I like to see, which are very popular, a lot of people use them, are the RSI. I'm going to hit studies again, add study, lower studies popular, and I'm also going to add the MACD. Now I have those two studies, but the third one that I want is the IV rank. Now this is a custom one that I created, so I'm going to go to add study, I'm going to go to user defined, and I'm going to hit IV rank. Now that I have my lower studies in here, I can minimize the window so I see more chart and less studies. So I'm going to do that. All you do is you click and you drag. So you click on the window of the study and you lower it until you get to a size that you can easily read and works for you. This is all user preference, depending on how big your screen is, your setup. This is all depending on you and what you like to see. Now, the IV rank only works on the 1 year, 1 day, but essentially I can see if a stock has a high implied volatility based on its average. We're looking at Apple right now, and 57% of the days of the last year, Apple had a lower implied volatility. So it's basically at its average right now. So not necessarily a stock that has a high implied volatility compared to its average. So right now might not be the best time to sell options against Apple. Next up, let's talk about the chart itself and what I like to see. Let me remove this trend line, and now we're going to hit this little settings button. And here's where you're going to set a lot of the preferences for the individual chart. Now this is also based on your user preference, but the first thing you're going to see is general. And what I have is show orders, show alerts, show studies, highlight studies on lower. I also want to see the high-low bubbles. So this is going to tell me what the high price is and the low price is for the time frame. I'm going to show last price bubble, which will be included here on the right. So you can see the last price for Apple is $172.39. I don't need to show the symbol logo, and I don't need to see my trades, because if you're trading a stock a lot, it can get cluttered showing all of your trades. I do want to show the price subgraph, and I like to overlap volume instead of using volume as another lower study, because having 4 lower studies can be a lot. And that basically allows you to see the volume in the main chart. The volume for the stock is down below in blue. You can also see the volume based up here as well. So for instance, where my mouse is right now, the date is 8/13/2021 and the volume is close to 59 million shares. I like to see the volume in the subgraph because it's easy to see when volume spiked and how the chart or the stock price reflected that increase or decrease in volume. Now moving on to the price axis tab, there's not a lot to talk about in here, but we're going to fit orders, we're going to fit studies, and I'm also going to fit study markers. I'm not going to have any expansion areas. I do want to see the price to the left as actual price and not percentage, so I don't want to have show price as percentage shown. Let's move on to the time axis. Now, one thing that I do like to have is an expansion area of at least 5 bars, but maybe even more bars to the right. This allows me to chart a little bit further than where we're at right now. It gives me some space to the right of the chart so I can extend my trend lines. I can do whatever I want to do. Now, the favorite time frames I have set as is. I use your standard ones. I use the 1 year, 1 day, the 3 year weekly, the 1 day, 1 minute, the 5 day, 5 minute, the 5 day, 15 minute, the 30 day, 1 hour. Those are the ones that I typically use myself. But if you wanted to add a time frame, for instance, let's take a look at this. We can hit add time frame. We can do the 5 year, and then we can take a look at the 5 year weekly, and we can add that. And we'll hit apply, we'll hit OK. And then after you added that time frame, you can click your time frame setup, and then you can go to the 5 year weekly. So if you want to take a look at a stock and you want to have a default time frame that's basically the max amount of time for the stock, so all of the years that it was publicly traded, and you can take a look at it on a weekly basis or a monthly basis, that could be something that you add to the time frame setup so it's easy to switch between the charts. And I actually like that idea. Now that I'm talking with you in front of a camera, I'm actually going to add that. So I'm going to go to a monthly max available, and I'm going to do it monthly, and I'm going to hit add, I'm going to hit apply, and I'm going to hit OK. Now we can take a look at everything for Apple on a monthly. And you can see that Apple at a time was only $5 a share. Kudos to whoever bought Apple at $5, $6 a share, because now it's trading at $172. But let's go back to the 1 year, 1 day, because that's the chart that I use the most. And let's go back to our preferences. So we have favorite time frames. Now appearance. This is going to be where you can customize what you like to see. I like to take a look at the candle. I like to have the fill up, the fill down. I like to show the wicks, and this is my common. But you can change this so that you have a bar. You can change it so candle trend. You can change it to a line, an area, or an equivolume or equivolume. But I like to look at the candle, and I like to have the fill up and the fill down. That's my preference, but it's through this tab where you can change how your chart looks. I like to have the candles and the wicks because it provides me the most amount of information. Some traders don't like to have this fill on because it might junk up their charts a little bit. But me personally, having the fill up and the fill down helps easily define which was a green day and a red day. The next tab is equities. Now I want to show corporate actions. What that is basically it gives me earnings and dividends. And if you hover over it, you're going to see how the company did on an EPS. You're going to see when the next earnings is, and also you're going to see what dividend payouts are. I like having that information. If we go back to the charts or the preferences, we go to equities. I also want to show the volume subgraph. That is the volume subgraph that we talked about earlier in this video. Now for options and futures and Forex, we don't really dive into options charts. We'll take a look at the options chain and look at the stock chart. So this stuff isn't really important, but this is the settings that I have. And for futures, this is the settings that I have as well. Futures are going to look just like this chart for me. So now I have my chart setting, I have my lower studies, but I need to add some studies onto the actual chart itself. Now there's basically 2 types of studies that I add to the charts. I add moving averages, simple moving averages, and exponential moving averages, but moving average in general. And then I'll also add the VWAP for only use on the 1 day, 1 minute. Now to do that, it's real simple. You're going to go to studies, and now I'm going to show you a different way. You can always use quick study and add study, but you can edit studies as well, and you can type in the study. So if I want to have the 200-day exponential moving average, I'll type in EXP, I'll click on the exponential moving averages, and now it's shown on the price. So then I'll hit the preferences, and I'm going to change it to a 200-day. Right now it's a 9-day. So I changed that to 200-day and I hit OK. If I wanted to change the visuals, this is where you're going to do it here. So I can add a width here. I can make this a dashed line, and I can make it like a different color, like green. And then I can hit OK and apply. After I hit apply, I'll hit OK again, and now you can see I have the 200-day moving average, which is a very important moving average for many stocks. What I also want to do is I want to add studies. So I'll hit edit studies, and then in here I'm going to type simple. I'm going to hit simple moving average, and now you can see that I have a simple moving average, and I'll have a 150-day simple moving average. I'll hit OK, I'll hit apply, and then I'll hit OK. So now I have the 200-day exponential moving average, the 150-day simple moving average. So with that, you know how to add moving averages. Now I'm going to load my preset, and I'm going to show you how my screen looks when everything's said and done. It's basically all of the steps that I just showed you, but I have more moving averages. So to load a study, you're going to go to studies, you're going to load study set, and now I'm going to load the moving average, MACD, RSI, and IV rank study set that I have. Once I click it, you're going to see all of the stuff that I have. Now if I go to studies, edit studies, you'll see that I have a moving average 50-day, a moving average 100-day, a moving average exponential of 200 days, and a moving average exponential of 150-day, and I have that VWAP. Now VWAP shows up really well on the 1 day, 1 minute. If you see here, this purple line is your VWAP. And essentially, when you're above that purple line or your VWAP on the daily, it means that the stock is bullish. Day traders use this. So for the few times that I do day trade, I use VWAP. Now, typically when you enter in VWAP, you're going to have 3 lines. You're going to have an upper limit and a lower limit. If you go to your study and you hit the preferences, you're going to have the upper band. I declick or I deselect show plot, show bubble, show title. The same thing for the lower band. I hit OK, hit apply, and now I only have the VWAP. I don't have the upper band and lower band. Since I made one slight change to the study set, I'm going to save the study set. I'm going to save over the one I just have, and now it's updated. If you want this study set, I will provide a link in the Patreon. Real quick, also please consider hitting that subscribe button, ringing that bell, and smashing that like button to help with the YouTube algorithm. Now with this study set, I have all of the information in front of me that I like to see. I have volume, I have my moving averages, I have my VWAP, I have my MACD, my RSI, and I also have my IV rank to see if it's a good stock to trade options. The MACD will help me determine if we are overbought or oversold, just like the RSI will. If the RSI is down near 30, that means that we're oversold. And as you can see, the last time that Apple had an RSI of around 30, the stock price was right here at around $159. It's now since bounced to $172. The last time before that, the Apple was low on the RSI was back in October, and the stock was trading at around $140. And we saw that after that RSI got to 30 on the 1 year, 1 day, Apple did bounce nicely and it was a good swing. Another indicator, another lower study that helps us determine if a stock is good to buy or sell is the MACD. Back when the RSI was low, we also corresponded with a crossover in the MACD. Things got bullish, we crossed over the middle line, things remained bullish, and then when we crossed over here, that was a sell signal, and that sell signal occurred at around 180 days. Apple sold off, went to $160 a share, it crossed over again, and now we're bullish on Apple yet again. So taking a look at the charts with the MACD and the RSI will help me indicate whether a stock is oversold or overbought if it's a sell signal or a buy signal for a swing trade, and also help me time getting in on an investment. When should I dollar cost average for a particular stock? And then that lower study with IV rank will help me determine if it's a good time selling options against my position, or get into a trade to sell options against that position as well. So that is how I have my chart set up. But now I want to show you something even more interesting, and this is going to help you fly through analyzing stocks. And this is through a flexible grid. And now what we're looking at is called a workspace. I'm going to show you how to create your own, but before I do that, I want to show you the power of this and what settings I personally use, because then you'll see how flexible this is and how I typically use the flexible grid in these workspaces. Now for this, we are going to bring back that sidebar, and the screen might be a little bit tight for you. You can detach the sidebar, put it on a second screen or a third screen, but I'm going to show you everything right here on one screen because, well, I can't show you two screens in a video. You can only watch this video on one screen. So depending on your setup, you might be able to detach this and put it on a different screen, and everything will still be linked. Now, the first workspace that I'm going to show you is for futures. So if I hit show grid and then I click on my futures workspace and I load it, you will see what I use for futures. It basically shows me 4 charts. It's going to show me a 1 year, 1 day on the futures, and then a 5-day 15-minute for that same future. The top 2 graphs are for the NASDAQ futures, and the bottom 2 graphs are for the S&P 500 futures, but I can obviously change that. But the top 2 graphs and the bottom 2 graphs are linked together. Another thing that you want to know is that my top one has the red link, so it's tied to my futures watch list. Basically, I can switch through as whatever future I want to see, and the top 2 charts are going to follow that. So if I wanted to take a look at the Dow Jones futures on the top, just click on the Dow Jones futures on the watch list, and now I have the 1 year, 1 day and the 5-day 15-minute. Now what's shown on the 1 year, 1 day, the setup is the same setup that I showed you in the prior charts. But what's shown on the 5-day 15-minute is I got rid of the moving averages. You're only seeing VWAP and RSI, because since I'm at 4 screens, having all of those studies and all of them, it gets cluttered and it's hard to read. And then the bottom 2 are linked as well with that 9 symbol link. Basically, whatever I type in, I will change the 1 year, 1 day for that ticker, and then the one on the right will also change. This will allow me to quickly look at the futures, but it doesn't need to be for futures. You could do this for individual stocks as well. The next setup that I have, if we load this, is investing in one stock with 4 charts, and it's tied to the watch list as well. I can change my watch list. I can go to my personal, I can go to swing trading dips, and then I can sort my watch list by percent change or volume. And then if I click on a stock like Ford, because Ford dropped a ton on Friday, I now have all of the charts. I have the 1 year, 1 day, I have the 1 day, 1 minute, I have the 5-day 15-minute, and I also have the 3-year weekly. This will allow me to see everything that I need for a particular stock. I can look at the trends on the 1 year, 1 day. I can see if we are approaching a major support on the 3-year weekly. I can see what's happened over the last 5 days. I also like to change this every now and then to a 30-day 1 hour to see what happened with the stock in the last month. And I can also take a look to see what's happening with the stock on the 1 day, 1 minute. This will provide me many time frames. I can find easy levels of support and resistance for a given stock. I can see if we are getting close to bouncing in a short-term trade because we have that 1 day and that 5-day, or we can take a look at the 30-day 1 hour. And because it's tied to the watch list, I can bang through stocks that pop up on my watch list real quick. I can hit whatever stock pops up on the swing trading dips and quickly see if this is something that I'm interested in. It's all about speed and efficiency, because going through many stocks takes a lot of time, and if you're not efficient at it, then you get burnout and you miss opportunities. Now, do not forget, all of these workspaces I will share with the Patreon and put them on the Discord, so a quick link and you will get all of this as well. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, and smash that like button. Now, the next workspace that I have is basically two stocks side by side, and they're linked to different watch lists. I can click on one stock here, click on another stock here, and see what's going on. I like having two stocks side by side with the same chart because when I'm analyzing for a potential investment, I want to see how its peers are doing. For instance, if I'm taking a look at a stock in the semiconductor, I want to compare charts all over. I want to see what stock is lagging, what stock is leading that sector, if there's any weakness or any strength in a particular stock, or sympathy plays. If I take a look at one stock and there's another stock in the sector that hasn't seen that kind of bounce, well, why is that? I can look at two stocks at one time that are very comparable because we're looking at the same type of chart. For instance, if we're taking a look at the 1 year, 1 day on one stock, we'll look at the 1 year, 1 day on another stock as well. I also have it set up where they're linked to different watch lists because then I can also take a look at swing trading dips and swing trading rips, or a bullish and a bearish watch list. So I'm looking for trades to go long while also looking for trades to go short to try to stay somewhat balanced in my trades. Now, don't forget, I'm sharing all of these workspaces on the Patreon, but now I'm going to show you how to create your own. And by knowing how to do this, you can make it as customized as you want. So to create your own, you're going to hit customize grid. You're going to reselect that. So now we can start from scratch. So we're looking at just one chart now. I deleted my second chart. I'm not going to save over this and ruin what I already created, but I'm going to show you the process of creating different charts. Now this is through your charts and your flexible grid. So for instance, you can either have a chart to the right or you can have below. And I'm going to click sidebar. So now this is what your chart's going to look like from default, but we can add a chart below. So we'll do that. We'll hit that little below button. And now we have this chart below and we can type in a symbol. Let's type in Microsoft. So just real quick, so you know, you're going to have to load the studies that you want to see for a stock. They come in bare like this. But if you have the studies already saved, you can go to load study. And let's just say we're going to look at VWAP and RSI for this. To get rid of the sidebar, if you don't want to have that information, you're going to click on it and click on it. Now that we have one on the top, one on the bottom, we can add to the right by clicking the right button. So here we go again. Sidebar automatically comes in. We can type in a stock. Let's go with Facebook. So we can load our studies. We'll click on the studies. We'll go to load study set and we'll click on the We Are Investing one. The sidebar we have clicked off. So if we want to add another one, we'll on the bottom right, we'll click that button here. And now we have another stock, and let's just say that we do Amazon. We can load studies or we can keep it as is. Now, if you want to change what is shown, for instance, let's say that we want to take a look at live news for the stock instead of seeing a chart, we can click our sidebar, we can get rid of the chart, we can go to live news instead, and let's say we want to have a stock and live news to the right of it. So we can link them together. So we can click on Microsoft, we can make it blue, then we'll click on here as well, we'll make this blue. And now whenever I change this stock, the live news is going to change with it. For instance, we can take a look at Ford, we can make this a 1 as well. We can bring back the sidebar, and instead of having the chart, we can have active trader. So now I have the stock on one screen and I can quickly buy or sell stock on the screen to the right. And then I can get rid of the sidebar once I have everything set up, and that is my preference. So then I would go to this. So then to get rid of the little buttons here, we're going to click on show grid. We're going to unselect customize grid. And now our grid is set up as is. And if we want to make any changes, we got to go back here and we got to select customize grid. And then when your workspace is set up the way that you have it, you can click on that button again and you can save flexible grid as, and you can name it. And then it's as quickly as just loading that. So we can go back to that one stock for chart, hit OK, and go back to the settings that I prefer. Thinkorswim is very customizable. You can create basically whatever you want. So once you learn what's available on this software, You can add it to your charts. You can create your flexible grid. You can set it up the way that you like so that the information that you want to see, the information that you understand and is clear to you, is right there in front of you, and it's real easy to analyze a particular stock. Now, thank you so much for your time. If you have any questions, comment down below. If you have any preferences that you like, mention down below in the comments section. You can also join the Patreon. Do not forget about the Patreon. It's a great way to support the channel. And most importantly, do not forget about that YouTube algorithm and help me by smashing that like button, subscribing, and ringing that bell. But with all that being said, that wraps it up. I thank you so much for your time. It's been real. It's been fun. It's been real fun. And this is We Are Investing, and together we are invincible. See ya.